Hey, hey guys. It's been over 2 months. This is awkward, isn't it? Now, before we start, first of all, apologies. Work just got a bit too busy, unfortunately, and to be completely honest, there wasn't many sporting moments, events, anything like that I was super interested in covering. As you know, I'm a big UFC guy. I should have covered the last two pay-per-views, but alas, I did not. Um, and I'm a big NRL rugby union guy. So yeah, it never really piqued my interest to do things like Ashes. I mean, congratulations Australia. It was really fun to watch, but I'm not that much of a cricket head to actually cover it in depth like I am NRL or rugby or UFC. So yeah, look, apologies, but with the NRL kicking off in a few short weeks and Super Rugby kicking off next week as the time of recording this, I thought we would dive into some recent announcements made, both in NRL and Super Rugby with the new rule changes. So, I also have a camera that I will be setting up at some point. I have to figure out the kind of bits and bobs of that. It's a wee bit of admin to get through, so I'll get to that eventually. But for now, we're just using the old setup. Yeah, let's talk about those rule changes. Let's start with Super Rugby. So you can see on the screen now, this is kind of the starting off of what is the newest announcements in regards to the Super Rugby laws. Now, as we can see there, it will no longer be mandatory for a referee to issue a yellow card or red card to a player on the defending team when awarding a penalty try. Any sanction will be at the discretion of the referee. I like this rule. I think this rule is very. I think this rule is very. I'm going to say modern in the respect of, I think so many laws in the Super Rugby or in international rugby, regardless of competition. I think a lot of them are very not old, but outdated is the word I was looking for. I think there's so many penalties in the game, and there's so many mistakes that happen in the game that players that when teams get a penalty try, it's like you have to give a card, and I think that's a very outdated rule. So I like the fact that a player can be stuck on one side of a maul and not be carded when a penalty try is given. Now I like that idea. I think it's very modern, and I think it keeps up with today's day and age, and it's ideal, to be honest. The next one is accidental offsides and teams delaying playing the ball away from a ruck will result in free kicks after rather than the scrums. And again, I like that rule as well. I think the issue with things like accidental offsides is, they happen in the flow of the game. If you have a fast playing fullback, making a chip and chase, and the lock is just getting out of a ruck 8 meters in front or 6 meters in front, whatever the case may be, and missed communication causes this thing to happen. I think it's a very it's not malice most of the time. I say that because there are some that are very malicious. But I like that law. I like the rule. Teams delaying playing the ball away from a ruck. I mean, that's here and there, right? Like You have moments where it's positive, moments where it's negative. So I think that's just a result of just pace of play, really. The next one is after the referee has called use it at the ruck, no additional players from the team in possession may join the ruck. Again, that's a pace of play move, and I don't mind it. It's going to encourage players, mainly forwards who come in to kind of create that guard wall for a number 9 to get the ball away. I think it's going to encourage players to join rucks more frequently at the start, and it's going to speed up a little bit of pace of play. I think there's also the kind of the hot side of the pillow, if you will, or the other side of the coin, where it might cause a wee bit of slowing down unintentionally. But I think for the most part, it's a good law to have, and it's a good way to speed up the play of game, and it'll definitely speed it up for the most part. The next one is teams will be permitted to pass the ball back onto their half before kicking a 50-22. I like this one as well. It's very similar to the NRL, where no matter where the ball is, you can get the ball into the zone for a 50-22. For the NRL, it's you could have played the ball at the halfway mark, but if you pass the ball back to the 40 and kick for the 20 and it goes over, it's still a 40-20. And I think it encourages a bit more of an exciting play style for both offensively and defensively. And I think it's going to be enjoyed more by players than I think most people think as of right now. Now, the last one that we've got there on the screen is players will be allowed to take quick taps within 1 metre either side of the mark or anywhere behind the mark if they are within that 2 metre channel running parallel to the touchlines. I like it as well. I think a few too many players are getting caught out, and it's slowing down the pace of play. Rather, you have a player running in, you have a fullback running in from a ruck, and he takes the ball quickly. He's got that meter. He's got that meter of difference to kind of take that quick tap and again speed up the pace of play. I think the thing that notoriously has let the Super Rugby competition in particular down is the speed of play is very hit and miss, and I enjoy that. I think that rule there is a very good rule to have, and I think at the end of the day everything is kind of being made to keep up with pace of some sports. I think in particular the NRL was gaining more and more traction just because of how fast it can be played and how methodical it may look. Rather, rugby union is a bit slower, and that's my opinion anyway. But it's very exciting to see. Another big thing that we want to talk about is the competition is also recommitted to the guidelines first implemented in 2023 around the role of the TMO. Now, the TMO will only intervene unprompted if the referee has overlooked an act of serious foul play, so yellow card and above, or a clear and obvious infringement leading to a try, which I think all forms of any sport need to look at too. I think the problem we're finding now with all these rules coming in and all these changes, TMOs can be very tempted to get involved in almost every play, and that slows down the game, but also overlooks a lot of things. I think for the most part, TMO does their job pretty well, and they look at things with incredible accuracy. It's not an easy job to do, but I think they miss a lot of the most significant moments. Things like subtle forward passes that lead to tries. Thanks, France. Thanks, Broncos. But the point is, I think a lot of the issues that come from TMO are, one, getting involved an unnecessary amount of times, but two, not getting involved when they're really needed. So I think the rule of reviewing serious foul play and clear and obvious infringements leading to tries, I think, is a very good touch, and only having it when the referee really, really wants it. And with the referees that we have in Super Rugby, Angus Gardner, Ben O'Keefe, for example, I think that's just going to absolutely excel. That rule's going to be fantastic. Ben O'Keefe is an incredible referee, and he's a Kiwi as well. So, yeah, I like that. I like that rule, but let me know what you guys think for sure. But for now, let's move over and get into the new rules for the NRL. So this one here is a wee bit more interesting. The NRL has essentially fought back at what many perceive to be one of the most controversial moments of the year last year, when Penrith Panthers trainer ran on field, and whether it cost them the game or not, I think was an act of malice, in my opinion anyway. But regardless, let's take a look. Trainer rules is as follows. Trainers will be restricted from entering the field of play to prescribed and clearly defined circumstances. This will ensure player safety remains a priority while reducing unnecessary intrusions by trainers carrying messages, which, I mean, every team has it, right? Every team has the unnecessary trainer going on once in a while to give off a bottle of water and pass out messages that end up helping in the end. But the problem is it's happening too much now, and the unfortunate things were they were finding their ways of getting around it more often. And I like this rule because it's keeps everything even, and some trainers have more experience than others, and they find ways more than others, and that's okay. But when it comes to, when you've got 10 minutes left on the clock, and a trainer is more experienced in those situations and can pass down messages that mean a bit more than the odd team, then I think this rule kind of evens out that playing field, especially in that Titans Panthers game where Jaden Campbell kind of got a bit put off by his kick, and whether or not he made it on a good day is I think beyond the point. But I think some people will have their say in it, and that's okay. But next rule is the interchange rules. This one is a little bit confusing, but it makes sense in the end, right? Teams may interchange 4 players up to 8 times per match from a squad of 6 players. So that means that there is no longer your 14, 15, 16, 17. That means there are 2 extra players who are match ready, and therefore they have more players to pick from. However, those 4 players that you pick from are the only 4 players you'll use. So it's in some regards it's very similar to football, right? It's you have your bench of 6 players, but you can only use 4. I believe in football or soccer, if you want to be never mind. You can only pick 3 players from a bench of, I believe it's 8, maybe. I'll have to brush up on that. But I like this rule. Once again, I think this rule is very good for tactical play. You're looking at 6 players on a bench. You could have 4 forwards, 2 backs, or you can have 2 props, a lock, a second rower, a half, and then whether it be a centre or a utility back. And you can pick from any of them. I think it also reduces the risk of well, not reduces the risk, but I think if freak injuries happen, I think it's very good for play. It keeps the game interesting. It keeps everyone on almost not an even playing field, because there's a big difference between, for example, Brisbane's bench and, let's say, Tigers bench. There's a big difference of skill in there. But I think it definitely makes things more interesting, so I'm excited to see how that rule plays out. The next rule is accidental breach on the 0 tackle in goal. There will be no 7 tackle set following a knock-on in goal by the attacking team. I don't know how I feel about this rule, right? I don't think I like it as much. If the attacking team gets in goal and they knock it on, I think the defending team deserve to have that 7 tackle set for the most part. I think it's silly because I'll say I think it's silly because if you've got a team defending for 5-6 tackles and the attacking team make that break, make a breakthrough, whatever the case is, and knock the ball on, there's no advantage for the defending team for the work they've put in. But I can also see how it's a bit more of a pace of play rule as well. Look, I don't mind it. I don't think any of the rules that they've implemented this year are downfalls, to be honest. But the next one is restarting the tackle count. For certain infringements beyond the 20-metre line, the tackle count will restart, replacing the current 40-metre threshold. And I like this as well. It's more of a red zone sort of play, like in American football. And I very much like it. I could probably stop stuttering, but that's okay. Look, I think the 40-metre threshold thing was very not outdated. Outdated is the wrong word for that one. But I think it was different because it's, pace of play as well. 40 metres out is a long way out. It's a very long way out. But, you've got penalties that happen out there where, if they restart the tackle count, they make 5 metres a run. It's not going to do much. It's not going to affect the defending team as often. So I think the 40-metre threshold is a good rule to change. Penalty happens 30 metres out, and you take a kick at goal. All of a sudden that's a 2-point difference instead of potentially getting in for the 4-point difference. And I think it keeps the game exciting, and I think there's a lot of players, teams in particular, that will benefit from that rule. And I think it'll absolutely make a big difference in terms of exciting games that we see. I think we'll have a few more games of interest when that rule is officially underway. One rule that piqued my interest, especially in this NRL off season, I suppose, was the potential of the attacking team. Sorry, the non-scoring to the defending team, the option of either kicking off or receiving after they are scored on. But it has since been announced that this rule will not take place. And I think like that rule to me is a bit of a hit and miss, right? It's been reported that 6 major coaches have were in support of it, and I can understand why. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a smart move because, you know, if a team is down by 8, or if a team is up by 8, let's say Panthers are up by 8 points and there's 3 minutes to go. Right, they can choose whether they kick off or receive, and that, I think, chews up clock in a very particular way, and I think it also brings in more of a tactical side of play. You know, in the early stages of the game, from minute 1 to minute 40, I don't think it matters. But from minute 41 onwards, I think it really introduces a term of just being as tactical as you possibly can to win games, which I think makes it a wee bit more exciting for not only the fans, but I think just for regular viewers, for coaches, for players, for reporters. I think it adds that element of surprise, and I didn't mind that rule personally, but I also understand how some coaches would take it. I mean, if we're being completely honest, there's a few teams that would have to flip that coin a bit more than others, but that's okay. That is what it is. But yeah, that's all for today's video, guys. I think the last video I posted was the Elisa Katoa one, and that was a bit of a heartfelt one, I guess. But yeah, we're back. NRL season kicking off in a couple of weeks. Super Rugby kicking off next weekend, I believe. Yeah, that's all I got to talk about, I think. But in any case, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of content you guys want to see on the channel. What you think of the rule changes in both Super Rugby and NRL. Yeah, go follow Big Kiwi Sports on Instagram. I'm trying to post more on the Instagram now. I haven't posted in there since the last video as well. But yeah, once again, guys, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.